Happy World Hypnotism Day, Patty. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. This is World Hypnotism Day.
This is
Every day is World Hypnotism Day.
every day is World Hypnotism Day. So, how world has your day been?
Well, it's been wonderful. And actually, we are celebrating our World Hypnotism Day on Saturday because I did the fourth for the first few years. And then I found out we do an all-day program. So it turned out it was a little easier and a lot more attendees if we did it on a Saturday. Sometimes I do 2 or 3 day events, but this year it's just one day, this coming Saturday on the 6th. And we've always done it for as a fundraiser. Actually, I'm sorry Tom isn't on it anymore because he actually, the very first World Hypnotism Day, I had just relocated from California to Florida. And I got word through the National Guild, through Tom, that they were going to hold a World Hypnotism Day. And Michael, you know how I love to be in on firsts. I love to be on firsts, right? So I immediately jumped in and I said, well, I want to do this as a way to, show some of the people, great people that I know in the field, and an educational program, an all-day program. But I want to do it as a fundraiser, and I decided to do it for hospice. So for the last 13 years, since that first one, we've always done it as a hospice fundraiser. And this year is the first year that we're going to this Saturday do it for the Veterans Arts Center here in St. Petersburg, Florida. And won't go into the whole backstory of how that happened, but something told me to start working with the veterans. So I'm personally doing free sessions for veterans the whole month of January and some other little side events to go along with it. But it's just, as Tom was saying, it's so gratifying. I think I have more fun and spend more money on that event of my own money, and I don't get a lot of business from it. I more showcase all of my great friends in the area. And it's not about that, but it's one of the things that I have the most fun with every year. And Art Emmerich always comes up from Sarasota. He's our headliner, and just a lot of great hypnotists in the Tampa Bay area. It's like a vortex, draws people in.
That's great. You always got like 5 or 6 speakers, don't you?
Yeah, I think there's 6, I believe. Yeah. A lot of great people. Debbie Lane, Art Emmerich, like I said. Tamara Fontenot, the Raging Cajun gal, she's phenomenal. And it's just, when I moved here, there weren't any hypnotists at all that I could find. And now all of a sudden they all started moving here. It's really cool.
Well, so while you're taking care of the veterans, it's appropriate for us to say thank you for your service then.
Yes.
And the reason I got you here tonight is that one of the things that we were interested in with this webinar is some of the folks that are on the call are hypnotists. Some of the folks that are on the call are people that are just interested in learning more about it. And so we wanted to have a range of topics that could let everybody know the scope of what's possible with hypnosis, as well as giving people that are already some thoughts about the work that we do. And you've had a rather successful weight loss, or I'm not exactly sure, that's not the word you use.
I call it create your ideal healthy body. It's for, weight and diet management is the word we're supposed to use. It's kind of a weird word. It's about, people who want to get into their best physical condition and to maintain a healthy body, basically. So that's why I call it that. It was the basis of my dissertation work that I did years ago, groups. And I did about 6 groups, and that's when I found out that I was getting as good a results in a group setting as I was for a private setting. And it made it nice because, I can get more people taken care of in a shorter amount of time. It's a 6-week program. And it's just a lot of fun. It's not that different than everything else. It deals a lot with the emotions. It deals a lot with changing habits, reframing thoughts, behaviors, retraining the mind, learning how to interrupt old patterns. So it really isn't that different than everything else we do. And it's a lot of fun, and it helps people to really be empowered to learn that they really do have control over those times like what Karen was talking about where you're eating mindlessly. You are in a trance, and it's not when you came out of the womb doing. It was brought on usually by some stressful event or by some habitual whatever throughout their life. And it's just a great way to teach self-hypnosis so that people, by the end of the 6 weeks, the reason I do 6 weeks for it is because with weight issues, it's like peeling an onion. I always say it's like there's a lot of layers. Not that there isn't also for all the other things we work with, but it seems like in order to get a good momentum, people don't usually come for weight issues to a hypnotist because they want to lose 5 pounds. And they don't usually come because the problem just started a few weeks ago. It's usually a longer term problem by the time they come to us. And it's so nice to know that the things that we can teach them in a program like that, by the end of it, they are also noticing, like, people will come back and say, my headaches are gone. I've been sleeping better. You know, I used to have this skin thing and it seems to be cleared up. And there's just some amazing things. Like, a matter of fact, I'll tell you a quick story. And this is someone, you know, I won't say her name because I don't have permission. But when I first moved to Florida from California, it was about 15 years ago now, I did one more research group for my dissertation because I had moved here unexpectedly. I didn't have a lot of notice. And it was a great way to meet people. So I did one more research group here. And a lady that was in the group that was, all of them came for weight loss is what they were there for in their mind, right? And she brought her niece with her, and she was skinny as a rail. So of course, when she walked in with her niece, everybody's looking at this young, skinny gal, you know, in her early 20s. And like, what is she doing here? Kind of a thing. And the funny thing about it is, Melissa will get a kick out of this. By the end of the 6 weeks, she came up to me and told me that she had fibromyalgia for many years. And she said, going through this program, my fibromyalgia is, she says, here's what she actually said. She says, I cured myself, which I loved hearing her say it like that. And I hadn't talked about fibromyalgia but it's all the same principles, right? And she actually was so impressed. She went to our hypnosis training. She learned and became a certified hypnotist and started a business, and she was off and running. So those are the really phenomenal things that you can do. But also, like I said, it makes it less expensive for people if you do groups. And I was getting the same results, which surprised me. So I just started doing a lot of groups for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Nice. So just a little background on you. I'd like to introduce you to people. So I think most of the folks on this call already know you, but there are a few that don't. You've been doing hypnosis for quite a while now, as a matter of fact. How long have you been doing this?
25 years.
25 years.
Professionally, but I was studying it for about 20 years before that.
Wow.
And you know what I was doing those days, which is why I've come to the conclusion hypnosis is a performance art. And yes, we're always being hypnotized, and we are always acting in the way that we've been taught, or that we've been convinced that we're supposed to act, or that we think who we think we are. So part of my program that I developed that came together just in the last year is about creating a new ID. And I thought about ID, your identification, who you think yourself to be, and those beliefs at the level of identity. They're very easy to hear people when they're talking about themselves. You can pick up on how they think about who they are. And people are going to act like who they think they are until that belief system gets shifted. And if it doesn't match the goal, of course, then it's got to be shaken up and changed. And I came up with this idea one day. It hit me that ID can stand for internal dialogue. And one way that we create our identity is through keeping, you know, those internal dialogue of who we think we are and talking to ourselves in our head. And all we have to, one of the ways that we can start to change that on a conscious level is start to listen to how we're talking about ourselves in our head and out of our mouth, and start to on a conscious level, like Karen was saying, use your conscious mind too to interrupt patterns and start to become more aware, even, you know, day to day between hypnosis sessions or between when you're doing self-hypnosis, and start to incorporate a new program, reframe who you've been telling yourself you are, or who you've been convinced you are, and start reframing it into who do you want to be now moving forward. And, you know, like I said, we're always acting. If someone is convinced, all of a sudden someone tells them they're great at something and they always thought they were bad at it, if they believe that, they start to take on that identity. So to me, that's really powerful, is that we have the ability to change that internal dialogue, which will then start to change that internal description of who we think we are. So
Patricia, inadvertently, I had a client back in the old franchise days, a client who said that she wanted to be a size 8. And just flippantly, I said, what would happen if you just pretended you were a size 8?
Right.
And she said, I don't know. And I said, well, what? Do it. Just pretend for a day that you're a size 8 and let me know what happens. She called me the next day and she said she was standing up straighter on the elevator and that a guy hit on her on the elevator leaving the office. And boy, that really made her feel good. And she was walking outside and she said she could feel herself standing a little taller. Anyway, for the whole day that she pretended that she was a size 8. She ate like a size 8 in her mind would eat. She flirted like a size 8 in her mind would flirt. She carried herself in that way. And that was just brilliant for her. So I think, yes, that's exactly what you're saying.
Absolutely. When we're little kids, we pretend we're different things all the time. We don't think about it. But as adults, they come to a hypnotist and they've been beating themselves up usually. When someone, like I said, when someone's had a weight issue for many years, usually those are the ones that come to a hypnotist, their self-esteem, their self-image and all of that is been beaten up by themselves a lot. So if we can get them to start, being nicer to themselves and treating themselves, like you said, pretending treat yourself like you're your best friend, that kind of thing. It really does start to change things. Because sometimes after someone finishes my program, Create Your Ideal Healthy Body, they say, you never did hypnotize us and tell us what we should eat. They say, well, people that come to me, they're adults. You probably already know what you should eat. You probably already know what has gotten you in trouble in the past. And you probably already know enough about, at least, what you think it needs to be changed to get you where you want to be. And it's not for me. I always say it's not my job to give you advice. I'm not a nutritionist, and I know a lot about nutrition. I have some certificates for, healthy eating and all that, but that's not what they come to me for. I think they come to us for us to get them to start to feel, like you said, pretend you're already there. If you can already feel, it's state shifting, isn't it? That's why I use a lot of what I call pivotal response conditioning, because it sounded great for my dissertation. It's a takeoff on, anchoring and triggering, but it's a natural process that I start to teach them of how to take back their control, interrupt those patterns, and start to catch them when they're out in the world too, not just in my office. And by bringing it to someone's attention, the way they're thinking and talking and perceiving things, it makes them more aware of it. So the next time it comes in their head, they'll hear it again. They'll start to be more aware, because you can't change something if you're not aware of it, right? So bringing that, I think that's a big part of our job too, is to bring to their attention how they've been reinforcing, unintentionally, of course, the negative behaviors or habits or self-image, and starting to shift some of those things. Because as soon as you get somebody to act like that, they feel great, right? And they don't even sometimes know right away, why did I feel so good? And it's just pretending. But when you imagine something, we all know that every cell in your body's listening. And that self-talk, like I said, that's self-hypnosis. I said, every time you repeat to yourself, I'll never lose weight, or whatever negatives they're doing when they walk in, you're hypnotizing yourself. You've already learned how to hypnotize yourself. We're just going to teach you how to do it to actually get what you want now. So it's really a lot of fun, because it does all make sense when you explain it to people, like you said, Karen, on a conscious level before the session. By the time you start the session, they've already bought in, and they go, wow, this even makes sense, And then my goal is always to get them so that at the end of the session, they're like, what happened? What was that? It's really cool. And when they walk out, if they feel great, if they're in a state that feels good, they're going to do better. Like you said, they're going to naturally eat better. They're going to naturally, I don't have to tell them what to do or not do. And it's, like I said, it's not that different than working with physical things, medical issues, or smoking or anything else. It's about what state will you be in when you've achieved that? What will that feel like? Yeah. And then sometimes reference other areas of their life, maybe where they have that feeling, or some of those feelings, anchor them in, stack them up every time they come in, so they can recreate that state. And the longer they stay in that state, the more they're self-aware, the more they're in control, the more they feel good and happy and healthy and all those things that they come in for. That's their real goal. The weight's just what's in the way of that. And it's pretty cool to watch the transformation.
Nice. So, Patty, is there a way that people can learn this from you? Do you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I do these 6-week programs. I've actually got one starting later this month, January something or other. When is it? January 25th. Create Your Ideal Healthy Body is what I call it. And sometimes I do get people who just want to be healthier or want to get motivated to exercise. Some people look healthy on the outside and look great, but they know they're not eating healthy, or they know that they're not really doing what's right. So it's for anybody. That's why I call it that, because it's more about, how can you just feel good about what you're ingesting, what you're putting in your body, and how you're moving your body and staying healthy. So yeah, we do that. I do that. And yeah, a lot of different classes. I teach hypnosis training now twice a year. It's a 6-week program through IACT, Michael, as you know. And IMDHA, we do 2 weekend medical hypnosis trainings at the end of the year, which the very first one I did a few years ago, actually, Melissa Roth, if she's still on, she was the expert that I knew for medical hypnosis, and my goal was to start more people trained in the medical side of it. And so, of course, I brought her in for the first weekend, and then a couple weekends later, I did the second weekend that very first time we did it. So we do that once a year at the end of the year for people who are already certified. But the medical, like I said, it's not that much different. The principles are the same. It's about how do I have to think. Oh, I loved it when Tom Nicoli said, it just was a thought that I had when he was talking about World Hypnotism Day. I thought, everything starts with a thought. One of my first teachers out in Arizona, Dr. Michael Preston, bless his heart, he used to say, we teach people how to think. And what he meant was think differently. They already know how to think, of course, but the way they're thinking now is creating this outcome. We just get them to shift what they're thinking, and everything's different. It's just so cool. So I loved it when he said that, because that was really neat. Because it really does. Everything starts with a thought. Exactly. The body and the energy and the emotions all follow the thought. And when people realize they have 100% control over their thoughts, and that they could shift them if they don't like the ones they're thinking, how empowering is that? It's so cool.
Right, yeah.
And so I'm curious if you have trademarked this, creating a new ID.
No, actually, I have. I probably should real fast.
From you and teach that dialogue stuff. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I did a seminar on it a while back when I first created it a few months ago, and I think I called it Change Your ID. And it just hit me one day during a class. I was explaining things, putting things on the board, and I thought ID, internal dialogue, because to me that self-talk is so important, and it does keep re-hypnotizing us. You know, it keeps us hypnotized, like you said. You know, I tell people your unconscious is always listening. Not only when I hypnotize you or you put yourself into hypnosis with me, but it's always listening. And if you're telling it something all day long, I say that's your affirmation, that's your mantra. It's got to keep trying to make that reality. And if it's what you don't want, guess what's going to happen? What you're going to get? You're going to get what you don't want. So it's that little simple thing alone is like an eye opener for many people. They didn't even realize they can control that. It's like, oh, I thought emotions just showed up. No, you got to think a certain way to make that emotion show up. And I just love that. The empowering.
Somebody has sent us a question for you.
They did.
And it backs up just a little bit. So something you were talking
I thought my time was up.
Well, we can run 4 more minutes. It's all right. You've got at least another 4 minutes. So, so the question was just this. I know you had talked about people giving about affirmations and that sort of thing. So the question was, how do you determine whether to talk like the change has already happened or to talk them through the process?
Yeah, well, when you talk about, you know, the way to speak in a hypnotic language is always about either present tense, if that's appropriate, or present progressive. With weight issues, it's usually going to be present progressive. And affirmations or things like that. And like I said, some people say, oh, I tried affirmations once, they didn't work. And I say, yeah, I went to a gym once and it didn't work too well till I went a few times, you know. So you got to keep programming it in. But I'd say, you know, it's like I am now, you still keep it present tense, like I am now in the process of learning to eat to enjoy eating healthier foods or whatever their goal is. Like I said, I don't give them the goal. What do you think it's going to take for you to get there? And they'll tell me what they want to do. They want to exercise more, or they want to do whatever. So I am now in the process. When they interrupt the old patterns, that puts it in present tense. So their unconscious is saying, oh, now I know what you want me to do right now, and to keep that moving forward. And it starts to create that forward momentum, because when people come in, usually they have negative motivation. You know, they just want to get away from where they are. They're uncomfortable. But our job, I think, is to get them to starting to focus on right now and moving, feeling better with every breath, every moment moving forward, and keeping them in that state, like I said, as if I can already imagine, you know, because it's not about the goal of being a certain weight or size. It's about how they imagine they're going to feel when they're that weight or size. And for them, if you can elicit, well, what do you think that would feel like? Like Karen was saying, what do you imagine that would feel like? If I could wave the magic wand, I'll say, and you woke up tomorrow and you were actually that weight, what would it be like? And then they give it all to you. And then you can start to say, okay, what are some things where you feel that way, or when you have felt that way in the past? And you can start to anchor those emotions, those states in, those power states, I call them, and get them to learn how to interrupt patterns and shift. That's that pivotal response thing. And the more they do it, then all of a sudden it just starts showing up on its own. And they just start moving through their world, getting to that weight, already feeling that way, already having joy and happiness and self-love and whatever else it is that they're looking for. It's really cool. And like I said, this applies to anything, not just weight issues. Yeah.
Right. And I'm curious, do you ever use a magic wand?
I do have one at my office. Actually, I have several, but I have one that a good friend put decorations on. And I don't work with small children anymore, but you know what? It works for adults. And I use it as a joke sometimes in demonstrations and during my classes. And it's like, it's like I said, hypnosis is a performance art. So if someone is just playing along and they're loose, of course, they're receptive and they're having fun, all of a sudden they start to feel it. And it'll be like, wow, what did you just do to me? Well, you did it to yourself because this is what you asked for. So say thank you and ask for more.
That's right. Yeah, I brought the magic wand out more than once.
I love magic wands.
I love them too. I have a couple of them in my office.
The magic wand is in our own thoughts, you know, as far as that. Where did Michael go? I lost him.
He stepped away for just a moment, but I think he'll be right back. So never fear, I am here.
Oh, good. I like that. I like that picture behind you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was just in Key West, so I took a lot of shots for tonight, I believe, to keep us in that feeling of warmth.
Nice.
So, Patricia, if we want to get in touch with you, how do we do that?
Yeah, I'm in. Now I'm located in. Well, Palm Harbor is my mailing address, but I'm actually my office. My facility is in Tarpon Springs, Florida, just in the Tampa Bay area. And Up Hypnosis Institute is my company. It's uphypnosis.com, and the Up stands for Unlimited Possibilities. My license plate says "Think Up," and it's a mantra. I tell people I have a driving affirmation, and it's a way to keep myself remembering to have energy and to think up and positive, and you know,
that's great.
Whatever your dominant thought is, that's the way you're going to live, and it's a wonderful thing. So uphypnosis.com. I also have uphypnosis.org with some things on it, but the classes and everything are on .com.
So uphypnosis.com, and then is there a direct email to you?
Sure, uphypnosis@yahoo.com or outlook.com.
Okay, so it's not Patricia at uphypnosis.
Nope, just uphypnosis at Yahoo or Outlook. And I'm also on Facebook. We do a monthly free meetup. We do lots of monthly master classes and other things too, yeah. But I want to encourage everybody to know that we all are hypnotists, just like you said. Yeah.
I just want to remind you that this will all be put together. It may take a few days, but it'll be put together in chunks.
Fabulous.
You'll be able to find it on the Facebook virtual chapter location. Nice. So just type in virtual chapter and you'll be able to find it. And Michael's also very good about putting links there always to the speakers. So we'll have that information.
Fabulous. Spread the word. Spread the good word.
So wonderful chatting with you tonight.
Thank you, Karen.
We appreciate it a lot.
Michael,
everyone was worried because you stepped away for a moment.
I didn't think that they saw me. I was trying to be sneaky about that.
We didn't see you. That's why we noticed.
Oh, you saw me. I got it. You saw that I had actually turned off my camera.
For just a moment.
That was to make the change. How do you like the watch, by the way? See, if I
like that.
If I need to swing it back and forth, I can just do it.
You're making me dizzy.
So, well, thank you, Patty. It's been great. It's been great talking to you. And
my pleasure. I love listening to all these wonderful presentations.
Well, isn't this a great thing? So,